So once I do this, we will be live on YouTube with the conference setup.
Oh.
So that's live on YouTube right now.
Awesome.
And I'm going to tweet a link.
I just did that. I was like, oh, new programs. Oh, this is not here.
Yeah. Well, But where's your stuff?
What's Bywater's hashtag? No, for Twitter. Do you guys have a hashtag you regularly use?
Yeah, I do. I don't know.
No, I'm good.
You know she's here. You must be there. We found
are you? Okay.
Hey, Ed, are they gonna have laptop? Who? The presenters? Yes, this one. Because I got to put my Okay. And we're already on YouTube live, so everybody knows you left your laptop. That's on.
Door prize. Feel free to purchase, not your name from that.
Yeah, I know.
Door prize.
I know.
I'll be around with that. Door prize. I'll be around in a second. For the door prize rack. All names, all we need. I'll be around in a minute with the can. Yeah. No power at home. Which means I was not receiving it for 30 minutes of screaming, why is there no power? Yeah. Christmas. After we got it. I jumped up downstairs. Yep. We're that small.
Okay, makes sense. Okay.
Are we projecting from this laptop?
Yes, this will be pointed at the laptop over here, and then when each presenter starts, I will give them, they will have access through Zoom here so that they can share their screen to this, to
So this
everybody
is the
live
one we
streaming.
want to project from.
Yes, this is the one we want to project from. That,
Anything else?
why is it tilted?
Yes.
It's either the screen or the projector. It looks like the projector to me.
Not the easy one to change. Maybe the charging station maybe over there in the corner.
Is there an outlet over there? That's what I wasn't sure of.
I sat next to this in Portland and checked out stuff. And then, like, 3 weeks later, I went to the surgeon and said, I can turn this training. Yeah, I want you to check out. And I said, well, Jen said, you should do it. You can do it. And on top of it, oh, I've never been in it.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I'm George Williams, and I'm the president of koha-US. And there were a couple of things. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes, and I thought I would say a few things that need to be said. The first one is the bathrooms. You go out this door over here and around to the left on the side of the staircase, that direction, and that's where the bathrooms are. Jill wants to make sure everybody drinks enough water because we're at a higher elevation and it's not very humid here, so don't be afraid to drink water. There's lots of water and pop and stuff back here. I thought it was awesome this morning waking up and it wasn't 85 degrees because that's what it's like every morning where I live. And it's 85 degrees every morning and 100% humidity. And so this is great. It was like being back home in Idaho again. The one thing that we would really like to do today is thank Pueblo, Colorado for letting us use their library to host us. And over here, this is John. He's the director here. And so if you get a chance today, everybody thank him, shake his hand and say thanks for letting us do this. And you want to say a few things?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So hi, I'm John Walker, and I am the executive director for the public library here in Pueblo County. And so I just want to welcome you to Pueblo. We're really glad that you've chosen our community for this conference. And of course, I want to welcome you to the Rawlings Library as well, which is one of 7 libraries, as well as several what we call satellite locations here in the county that we support. I'm really glad that you mentioned Jill. Jill Clavin. Jill is Director of User Services here, and she's been working really hard, and so I really appreciate what she's done, and I hope that you appreciate, and I know you appreciate what she's doing too to help host this. And just a brief word for me. So I've been doing this now for about 40 years, and long time, and long enough to witness the evolution of the ILS over that period of time. In fact, at one time I was a systems administrator for an ILS. Who in the room remembers Alice? Yeah, Marshall does, yeah. Notice, right? Yeah. There are only a couple of us left. But I do remember when libraries had assembly language programmers on staff. I remember 300 baud modems, you know, with a telephone receiver cradle, OCLC beehives and that sort of stuff. So I go back quite a ways. Command line prompts, that's what the users would do. And so today's information discovery universe is much, much different, and it's not even, you know, a glimmer of what it was many, many years ago. The point is that I think library ILS has come a long way, and I'm really proud that the library district here in Pueblo, really led by Jill, joined the expanding universe of libraries that have joined the open source ILS community. And we implemented Koha in the last 12 months, and we're really pleased with the outcome of that. The maturity of the application is notable in a lot of different ways. Certainly just the way the applications work, but also I think maturity of the marketplace also is showing with some of the support services that are starting to evolve. And Biowater Solutions, Turning Leaf Technologies, I think you'll hear from them during your stay here today. And so in my opinion, for what it's worth, KOHA's presence today and its future is pretty bright. I think it's very bright. And I think your time here today will contributes to that. So I wish you the very best with your conference. And again, welcome to Pueblo and welcome to the Rawlings Library. We're really glad to have you here in our community. Thank you so much and welcome.
So we can just jump right into the presentations as soon as Jesse and Lucas head up here, and I don't see either of them in the room, of course. And I know that they've been alerted to the fact that they're up first. I just don't know where they are. So, where y'all from? I think we've got. She was over helping Lizette try to get things set up, and she was trying to make sure that Paul, we got the Zoom link to Paul so that he can do his presentation remotely.
We're gonna go there.
Okay. You can trade places with Jesse. The other room is through the door over here. And if you follow the IT people, this is the Riles Special Events room. The other room is called the Info Zone room, and it's through the emergency exit and across the hall over here. And I don't know what you need for your presentation, Jesse. We've got the laptop all set up.
Perfect. I can just log in.
Okay. And you know how to share, you're familiar with Zoom.
Yeah.
You should be able to share your screen.
No, that's okay.
I guess while Jesse's getting this ready, I can also say we have a group text set up through GroupMe. So if anybody wants to join the group text, you can come talk to me and I can plug your phone number into there, or you can also just email your phone number to info@koha-US.org and we can add you to the group text. It was really helpful last night in finding out where everybody was drinking. So.
All right, lovely. Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? All right, so we have two programs going on, as George mentioned. I'm going to be talking about the basics of IRC, so getting involved in chat, and then just an introduction to Bugzilla. And Nick and Andrew are going to be talking about Bugzilla. So if you're really looking to like dig in and search in Bugzilla, create accounts and things like that, they'll give a more detailed view of Bugzilla. All right, wonderful. So I'm going to talk to you all about getting involved in the community. So how many people actively have used IRC before? No. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay, so does anyone know what IRC stands for? All right. So it is a great way for the KOHA community to chat, have meetings, answer questions from other people. You can create an account, log into the KOHA community through IRC, and all of our meetings for the KOHA community are on IRC. So whether it's the KOHA monthly meeting, it's the developers meeting, it's the documentation team meeting, that is where all of the meetings take place. Everything is documented, so if you miss one of the meetings, you can go back. The calendar is online, and that's what I'm going to walk you through today. So you can become an active member of the community. And I will tell you, it is so fantastic to talk to librarians from all over the world. We have friends in Germany, France, everywhere, you know, that you can talk to and ask questions. In fact, Paul Pillane is doing one of the presentations next. He's from Bib Libre in France, and I sent him a link to the presentation via, guess what? IRC. It was so exciting. Didn't even have to use an email. All right, so the first thing is everyone comfortable with the Koha community website, koha-community.org? You know, this is going to be your gateway to all of your information. And we'll share our presentation afterwards. All of the links are in there, so don't panic about like writing everything down if you know don't have your pen and pad. But koha-community.org is going to be your gateway to all of your information. So the first thing we'll talk about is the calendar. The calendar on the Koha community website will have active links to all of the meetings. So every month there is a monthly Koha meeting, the developers meet, documentation team, and so on, and I'll show you that. You also have the documentation tab. Now this is going to be a wealth of knowledge. How many people access the manual on a regular basis? Yep. Okay, so every version has its own manual. You can also access the wiki through the documentation page, Bugzilla, and several other resources which we'll share. And then finally, the next one, which is get involved. And again, this is how you can get involved, whether you're a librarian, a developer, or anyone in library school. If you have students that are eager to learn things, you can send them here to learn as well. So from the Get Involved tab, we have this Find Us on IRC. So there's a couple ways that you can use IRC in the Koha community. You can link out right through the website, and that will take you out through your browser. So whether you're using Mozilla or Chrome or Safari, whatever it may be, you can link out right to the IRC client directly from there. Or you can download a client. There's all different types of clients, and I'll show you a couple examples on the next page. But through this page right here, once you click this Find Us on IRC, you'll see a little tab below where it says, right at the bottom here, point your favorite IRC site to on the next one. Or you can join directly through your browser. And so as long as your library doesn't have any blocks, you can come in here and actually log right into IRC. Most people create nicknames. My nickname is Jay Zarrow. Not anything fancy, just my first initial last name. You know, Rocio is just Rocio. I think Addie. I'm calling out people that I know. Nick is in the other room. He's Kid Clamp. Brendan is Bag. What are some other good ones? Tall Joy is Joy, who is works at Bywater. So some people have really unique names, and you know, other people just first name, last initial, first name, whatever you want to go with. So once you log into this page, let's just see if we get any blocks here. This will take you into the Koha community. So you'll see as this builds over here on the right-hand side, you have a list of everyone in the room. Look, Ed, reveal. So you'll get to see a bunch of different people. I think Deb is here from Carnegie Scout. Yes, Deb is here this morning. Maybe she's in the other room. But you'll just see a list of people. And you can chat with these people. You can say hello. On the left-hand side, it populates up to time. So you can come in here and ask anyone questions. Just say hello. You know, it's just a great way to get involved. When the community meets, everyone starts the meetings by saying info, and then you tell where you're from. So I would say Jesse, Bywater Solutions, or you could say Ed Ville, McKinney Public Library, and then everybody introduces themselves during these meetings. So again, this is just a great way to attend meetings and talk to people. Now, if you wanted to private message somebody, once you click on your name, you get two options: who is, which essentially will tell you who this individual is in the channel, and then you can query. And what that'll do is that will open another tab, and you can see right next to where it says hashtag or #Koha, it opened a new window for eVille. I don't know if Ed's in there, and actively chatting, but I just sent out a private message. So, this is a way that too, you can chat or interact with other individuals. So the partnerships and the friendships that you meet today with people, if they have an IRC channel, when you get back to your library, you can start chatting with them. If you are Bywater partners as well, we are on IRC. We're also on Slack, which I can talk about a little later. But you can always get in touch with us and ask us questions, in the community. So again, this is just a real simple way to get in from the browser. You don't need to download any client, and then you can come in and attend any of those meetings. Okay, so now let's talk about clients. So if you're really into IRC and you want to download a client to use on your computer, I put 4 up here. There are tons more. So if you just Google IRC clients, you can get a full list of clients. But these are some that we use. I really like Colloquy. That's the one that I use on my desktop. You can use it on Mac or Windows. I know Nick uses HexChat. HexChat, that's a good one. I think Kyle uses Pigeon. Rocio, what did you use? Do you remember? Pigeon, yeah. So there's a lot of good ones out here. These are all of the ones that I have up here are open source. So you can go and download the client on your computer, launch it every day. You can also launch into multiple channels. So when we say channels, we have our Koha channel, which takes us to the Koha community. But then there's other channels like Coral. Coral is an open source ERN that integrates with Koha. So that's another community that you can go in and chat with people. There's a BWS partners channel, that you can go in and chat with people. And then a lot of people just, private message. So it's just a good way to get into each one of those. The wiki has a wealth of information. So if you go to the Koha community wiki, the first one I want to point out is the IRC channel. And this has a ton of information, just kind of, it gives you tips on how you can use different commands when you're in IRC. So if I scroll down a little bit, you can see there's the join command. Whenever you're leaving the channel or leaving work for the day, you can use the quit command. But this is just a good like tips and tricks for when you're logging in and out of the system. So one that I always like to point out is the karma commands. People love this. So if you help somebody in the community or you answer a question for them, and you want to give them a credit, so you're saying, thank you, Addie, for telling me how to write that SQL report. You can do a @karma or a Trevor or Addie ++, that gives them karma. It's just a nice way of saying thank you for helping me there. Thank you for doing this for me, being part of the community. That's one that I always like to share. It's always nice to get a little karma. And then another good one is the later command. So, maybe you're working a morning shift and you want to communicate with somebody, or it's somebody over in Germany or France and they're 6 hours ahead. You can leave them a later. And what that'll do is the next time that they log into IRC, it will leave them a message and say, hey, Paul, you contact me next time you're in question. You can use them the @later command, and that will give them kind of like a reminder to contact you once they're back in the office or logged into IRC. The next one is again on the Koha wiki, and this is IRC regulars. So this is just a great resource. Not everyone's name is on here, but this will have just a list of people that are routine in the channel. So you can go through this list and this will give you everyone's name. So if there's somebody that you talk to, maybe at another Koha conference, or you see their names, how many people are on the Koha email listserv? In addition to like the BWS email listserv, you'll see different names. A lot of times you'll see like Claire on the Koha listserv or Katrin. Katrin answers a lot of questions on the Koha listserv. So like you can see all of their names up here if you ever just want to private message them or message them and say, hey, thank you for that information. This has a good breakdown of like kind of the regulars that you see in there. K Hall, that's Kyle, and Nick is Kid Clamp. So you can see that there's Lizette. So again, this is just a good one to bookmark if you see somebody in there. Some people have names that you would never know what they are, like Rangi is Chris Cormack. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to talk to Chris, and they don't remember that it's Randy. So this is a good place to kind of bookmark things so you know who's in the community. The next one is the community Facebook page, and this is growing as you'll see. This one again is also on the Koha community wiki, and this was started as a way to kind of put faces to names. So how many people Zoom or Google Chat, you know, and you know, a lot of times you talk to people and you never know what to do. If you're at a, you know, place like this and I just meet, you know, somebody for the first time. You know, I talk to Daniel all the time in class and I never got to meet him. So this started out of a way to kind of grow that here's who you're talking to. Tony's another one. She's really active. You know, just to kind of see faces and put a face with a name. This is a great way to come in here and check that information out. So it's growing. People are adding to this list. Here's a good one. Martin is actually your 1911 Koha release manager. So you might see, you know, if anyone's on Bugzilla and you see, oh, this has been pushed to 1911. Ah, this is the guy who's passing those as the release manager. So it's kind of nice to put a name with a face. Okay, so now we've talked about IRC, logging in, chatting with people, getting familiar. Now let's talk about the meetings. So every month there are Koha meetings that take place. This is also found on the Koha wiki. It's just called IRC meetings. There's a table of contents. Everything is documented. So if you missed one of the meetings and you want to go back, you can actually come in and see a long list of all of the meetings. So you can see here the general meeting, the development meetings, documentation meetings. If you click on any of those links, that will take you in where you can look at the agenda, what they've talked about, minutes, and then of course next meeting information. So this is a great resource if you want to attend these meetings. They talk about bugs and features that you're going to see in the release. I highly encourage you to attend one of these meetings. You know, you can keep your IRC, you know, client open in one window and, you know, still multitask in the other. But this is kind of a nice way, you know, they ask for feedback from librarians. And I know that Nick and Andrew are in the other room saying, we want to hear your feedback about bugs and enhancements in Koha. And this is an excellent way to get your foot in the door and talk to people. How many people routinely leave comments on bugs or enhancements in Bugzilla? Yeah. So this is a good first step. If you kind of just wait in one of the meetings, you'll kind of see what they talk about. It'll be developers, it'll be people in the community, librarians. It's a great way to kind of just see what people are talking about, where they're keeping things, and you don't have to like pretty much dialogue with it. You're nervous about getting there or something. Okay, so the calendar. So back to the koha-community.org website. If you click on that calendar tab, this will give you just a good breakdown of when all of those meetings are. So it will tell you in your time zone when that particular meeting will be. Meetings vary. Sometimes I'm in the East Coast, so sometimes they're like at 5 p.m. at the end of the day for me. Sometimes they're at 7 a.m. In the morning. It just depends. They try to make the times very different to accommodate people all over the world. So if it is in your time, you know, while you're at work or you can access it, each one of these links will tell you when the meetings are. So you can see the last two meetings were on the 11th and then again on the 12th for documentation. But if we go to October, you'll be able to see that information for the next month. So we'll just check out, let's see, next month it looks like documentation is on the 10th and then the general IRC meeting is on the 1st. And you can even see Hackfest is in there. How many people know what Hackfest is? Yeah, some people. All right, so Bib Libre, who is another vendor in the Koha community, they're in France, and every year they host Hackfest. And this is a way for people, librarians, developers to go. It's like koha-US, everyone gets together and they give you specific tables and they work on different types of bugs and enhancements that are asked in the community. Talk about where things are going. So like the past couple of months,
learning code, so while the developers are working on the code, the librarians are sitting there actually testing it for people. Have anyone been to that yet? How about the end of, like, the kind of conference?
It's a really great time to kind of, give feedback and talk to other individuals about, what's going on in Koha. Okay. Questions about IRC before we jump into Bugzilla?
I know it's so early in the morning. I'm ready to like jump around and really get into it. All right, let's talk about Bugzilla. So Bugzilla is the way that the Koha community uses to track any type of changes, enhancements, bugs that are active in the community. It goes through the entire process of somebody submitting a bug, and then we have an individual who will write a patch for that bug or enhancement, and you have the quality assurance team that goes in and tests that patch or bug, either pass it, depending on if it works or not. Once it passes or fails, then the release manager will go in there and decide, like a unit test, to see if it actually will break anything else in the Koha community or pass it. If everything looks good, it will get pushed on to the next master release. How many releases are there in Koha a year? 2. One in the spring generally, one in the fall. And there's also micro releases every month. So like right now, the current release is 1905. I think we're on 1905.04. So that's our, whatever the micro release for that particular month. So in Bugzilla, you can view all of this information. Anytime, something is submitted, any member can go in there with or without an account and search to see, what
Is in that particular bug. So this is where we can like search, we can file a bug. Has anyone filed a bug before? Yay. How about written a patch? Ed? How about signed off on a patch? All right. So I'll show you just the basics of Bugzilla, how you can get in there, how you can search, and if you want to create an account, it's very simple. So from this main page, if you're looking for something, you can come directly in here and you can either enter a bug number. So if you know a bug and you're tracking something, so one that I'm really hot on right now, let's see if I have the number memorized, is 15497. Yes. Limit item types by branch. So, in authorized values now, we can limit like collection codes and shelving locations and not forgetting statuses by branches. This bug or enhancement adds the functionality to do it by branch. Actually, the people that sponsored this bug should stand up because they're all in the room. So let's talk a little bit like what's on the screen. So the status is going to tell us what's happening with this bug. So it might say new, which means there's no activity on it yet. In this case, it says resolved fix. So that means that it's gone through the process of patch is written, it's gone through quality assurance, people have signed off on the bug, and then it will eventually get pushed into master. You might see other statuses there like failed PA. So what that means is somebody went in there and tried to test it, and it didn't work. So then it will fail. As you go through, you can kind of see different things like the profile, the version of master, the importance. So it will go, I think it goes up to 5. So it'll tell you if it's like a enhancement or if it's a bug fit. The assignee is the developer or the programmer who has written it. So when you scroll down, you'll see that section you can see the QA content. Martin is our 1911. And then if you come over here, you can kind of see when it was reported, when it was outside, libraries that sponsored it. So let's just scroll down a little bit. Okay, so you can see Nicole first reported this back in 2016. And so through this, we were done. There's a new table for every how to branch director is W2 member safety item. And then you can see sometimes like when we're looking for sponsors, there'll be a link that goes back to another vendor. In this case, it's the bywater. So sometimes you'll see it for other vendors, Gray or Catalyst, a future so as we scroll down, you can see a little bit more information about the bug. So you can see Augustine talking back and forth. When there is a patch that has been added, you'll be able to see the text. So it'll tell you this patch adds a direct multiple, and you add edit item type, create functions, or into the library, or the option, select add item. So once the patch is something like this, you'll be able to see the text. The test plan will walk you through several different steps on how you can test it, either on Sandbox or if you have a POS box. There are sandboxes out there that you provide that you can go in, you can apply a top, and actually test it. I'm sure those guys are talking about it. Yeah, you can show you something, you can apply it to the box and actually go through it. So then as you go through, you can see comments on your page. So here's Paul, who is one of the developers at Bywater, goes through and makes comments. I tested on this one, that's why it's hot in my mind about it. And at first I failed it because the first time I went through and tested it, I kept getting error messages in the system. So then Augustine went through and made changes and then rewrote the patch. And then you can see. Oh, my bad, forgot to clean up the book. So, you know, sometimes we're really good about saying like what happened and why the patch didn't work the first time. And then you'll see the process again. So as we scroll down, the bug needs 2 sign-offs from quality assurance in order for the release manager to go in there and pass it or move it on to the next release. So you can always go through there and see that information. So I tested this one on a sandbox, and you can see the sign-off information below. You can see Katrin made comments, Tomas made comments, and as we keep going through, you can see Tomas did the second sign-off. So now that there are 2 sign-offs in the system, you can see that Martin then went in, who's again the release manager, signed off. You know, if you scroll to the bottom, you can see that he pushes that information on to the next release. So this is I think this is a good example of one where it didn't work correctly right away. And so it took multiple people to test it, to fix it, and then to push it on to the next release. So here you can see Martin made a statement on 9/12 that says, "Nice work, push to master for 1911." And then Frodloin, who is probably the release maintainer for 1905, just says that an enhancement is not pushed to 1905. Sometimes enhancement versus a bug. So a bug is something that is like a fix that knows something in a previous release, or maybe just caused something not to work properly. Sometimes it happens in lock statuses. Sometimes it happens in So there's situations where it could be above where it comes down with the or an assessment where it enhances the usability of koha. So again, this was a good example, just so you can kind of see sometimes the first try doesn't work. So you can search for anything here. If you are looking for holds or serials or course reserves or Does anyone else have a good bug that they've been thinking about or looking at?
Go to koha-US.org/bug. You will see a list of bugs that we talked about online.
Oh, just bug or,
Uh,
oh, sorry, yeah, it says, I just added the S there. There we go.
So every time we talk about a bug in one of our online meetings, we got it to this, there's probably
This is a good one. Groups of pickup locations for holds. Limit only items currently on loan for reference not working. Oh, this is also a good one. Push to old stable. Okay, so here's another one. Limit to only items currently available for loan or reference not working. A lot of times you'll read these 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 different times and you think to yourself, what does that mean? Yes. We often have this discussion where we want people to be very clear about what the fix is. And sometimes the developers put things in there and we're just like, what does that even mean? So sometimes as you go through and you start reading, like, generally, like, okay, here's a good one. Peggy is a librarian. And she goes in and kind of gives feedback about what she's seen in there. What I usually do is if I read it first, and I'm like, what does it even mean? I kind of go through and start reading it. Sometimes you'll see comments in there, feedback from other individuals, and it will give you a better indication as to what the site is doing. If you get to one and you're like, what does it even mean? You can just go in there and say, can you explain a little more how this will benefit our library? And that's kind of people will get in there for that. So, or you can jump into IRC and ask whoever the assignee is to talk about it. And routinely, you know, we see people in there doing that. In this case, the assignee is Nick Clemens. So does anyone remember what Nick's IRC handle is? Yes, Kid Clamp. So you could just message him in IRC and say, Nick, can you talk to me a little bit about bug 11677? Again, and that's a good way to kind of get involved and get the conversation started. So my goal today is to get you as comfortable as possible to just go in here, be able to search for a bug. And I want to show you too, adding yourself as a CC. So if you don't have an account in Bugzilla, it's very easy to set one up. There's a tab here, it says new account. What this will allow you to do is come in and enter your email address. Once you enter your email address here, it will send you an email that you will have to click on a link in order to confirm that information. And then you can start setting up an account in the system. I'm going to log in with mine so you can kind of see what that looks like. Okay. Once you create an account in the system, on the first page, it'll keep track of the information for you. So you'll be able to see if any bugs are assigned to you. Bugs reported by me, 30. So at any time, I can go back to those 30 bugs that I've reported into the system and take a look at them. And then you can also look at bugs reported in the last 24 hours or bugs that were changed in the last 24 hours. So the difference there would be anything that's brand new, something that was just put in the system. Bugs that changed in the last 24 hours, they get passed today, they failed today, they were pushed. So you can kind of see any recent activity that has happened in the system. If I click on the bugs reported by me, again, this will just give you a good breakdown where you can see kind of things that were reported. You'll always be able to see the component. So that'll tell you, is it in the tools module? Is it in the serials module? Is it in notices? Does it apply to the Z3950 server? The assignee will tell you the individual that is working on that particular bug. And then you can also see the status. So again, the status would be new, past, push. You can see a lot of mine are still in new status, except one that might be in development. And then of course the summary. The changed column will tell you anytime there was anything that was added, whether it was, you know, a patch or comments on that particular item. So I'm just going to pull up. I'm going to pull up another one here. We'll do a quick search for cereals. So maybe I'm looking for something, I don't like the current workflow, or I feel there's too many steps when I'm going through a process working in the cereals module. So if I do just a basic search for cereals, that'll bring back a list of results. The lower the ID is, the older the bug is. So I think we're in the 2200s by now is the most recent ones. I'm going to just reverse it the other way. We're already in the 23s. So we're in 2300. So if I see something that's like 5000, that bug is probably a little older than some of the new ones that are out there, like this 23619 was last night. So, you know, you can see that information. Now, if I click on that title, again, it will take me into the bug where I can see that information. If this is something that you feel would be beneficial to track and you want to see the updates every time it's been tested, once it's been tested, if it passes QA or if it fails QA, there's a little box over here on the right-hand side and it says CC. And you'll notice there's a checkbox there. By default, if you're logged into the system, you can hit Save Changes and it will add me to the CC list. And again, if you don't want to, you know, provide feedback, this is still a good way to track things in the community. So if you want to see when things are changed for this particular bug, as long as you're added as a CC, anytime something has been added as a comment or changed, you'll get that email right to your inbox. And so you can kind of keep track of that particular bug. So for example, that 15497, every time it was changed, I'd have an email letting me know that it's either passed or failed QA, and then when it was pushed to master. So again, this is a really, really good way to kind of, even if you don't want to comment on bugs or submit a bug, this is a good way to still, you know, feel like you're a part of it. Yeah, Rhonda, sure. Yes. So there is a voting option. You'll see over here where it says importance. Now, generally when a bug is filed, it defaults to a certain importance. Now, a developer or a programmer or even a librarian can come in here and change the importance of the bug. And you can see right now this one has a low feature. But if I come over here to this vote, you do have to be logged into the system. This allows you to enter votes. And so what the Koha community does is they will look at the votes for a particular bug. If the votes are high, they will take that into consideration and have people work on those. So they talk about these at the developer meetings and the Koha community meetings. And you can go to those developer meetings and talk about it. Rhonda, that was a good one to bring up. So this is a good way. You can, I think each individual can vote up to 200 times, and you can do them in multiples of 10 or 20. So if you want something to move quickly, you can put in higher votes than the others. So they will look at those. Has anyone used the votes before? Rhonda? Yeah. Yeah. So they will look at those. Oh, Lauren's here from Click. Sometimes we vote on bugs in our meetings with Joe. So yeah, it's a good way to kind of give feedback. Again, I know Nick and Andrew are saying this over in the other room. Coming from like their side of development, they want the feedback from the librarians. It's so critical for them to understand like what your workflow is at the library. It helps them build or write a better bug. You know, sometimes I feel like I get really mushy about this kind of stuff, but when you work with other software vendors, they might have, what do they refer to them as, a user group day, or I don't know, user groups. Yeah, tell me, Marshall, what do they say? User conferences, you know, yeah. So where they can go in and you can talk about it. With Koha, you can talk to them all year long. All year long, you can come in here, you can make comments, you can vote, and really feel like you're a part of that community and give your feedback. Does anyone want to hug? Just kidding. Just kidding. 10 minutes, okay. So again, I just want to provide the basics for you. So we talked about searching for a bug. You can search by, just a basic search. You can search by number. You can browse for a bug. And if you click on this browse button, this will take you in where you can kind of walk through picking Koha, and then you can look for the certain component that you're interested in. So like if I was interested in cataloging, I can click on that, and then it would allow me to browse through those particular bugs for that. You can also do an advanced search, and I highly recommend this. Sometimes people will ask us, I'm really getting interested in signing off. So you can actually look at bugs that just, for example, need sign off. So I can come over here and say, I want to look at Koha acquisitions that need sign off, and then actually do a search for just those particular bugs so you can see which ones need sign off. So again, this is a great way, if you go into that advanced search, that you can drill down for information that you're looking for. And since I'm getting close to time, I want to show you the sandboxes too that we talked about, and leave a couple minutes for questions as well. So if you come over to the wiki.koha-community.org, there's a sandboxes page. Just search for sandbox. This will show you all of the sandboxes that are available in the community. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll be able to see a bunch of them. So BibLibre has sandboxes. You'll see it has a link to the sandbox as well as the staff client and the OPAC. If you scroll down a little bit too, PTFS Europe has some, and then Bywater Solutions has some as well. So if you click on these links, this will take you out to the sandbox. You can see right now Kelly's in there testing one. Today is 11/18, so she was probably in there just a little bit earlier this morning. But this is a way for you to create or test a bug in the system. Has anyone used the sandbox before? All right. Unsuccessfully. So I will say there is a town hall that Kyle and Nick did, kind of walking through this, but we just, a side note, Bywater had our staff retreat last week, and we talked about how we can make it easier for people to go in there and test. Even if it's a bug that you filed or a bug that you told us about, how we can make it as easy as possible for you to go in there and actually test it through the sandboxes. So I know Kyle and Nick are working on making it an easier process. But what this allows you to do is kind of go in there and create a sandbox. So what this would allow you to do is go in, you give your sandbox a name. What I generally do is I just give it the name of the bug, but it can be whatever you want. Your sandbox name, the bug number, and then the only other thing you really have to fill out is answer this question down below, which is, what was the world's first open source ILS? Once that is in there, it will provision. It usually takes about 5 minutes, and then it will create the bug for the particular enhancement or bug that you're testing, and then it will create a staff client and an OPAC link. And so here's one right now. So service unavailable. So we will bug Nick when he gets back in here and ask him if he can take a look at that one for us for sure, because we want you to be able to come in here and test easily. There's actions over here on the right hand side too, and sometimes I will run this, and if you restart the services, sometimes that helps. If you want to test multiple patches, you can apply multiple patches to one sandbox. So you'll see there's an option here that says apply patches. So you can apply another bug. And what that'll do is that'll allow you to enter another bug. So you can have multiple patches on one system, especially if there's dependencies for one of the bugs. Okay. All right. So I want to leave some time for questions. I have links up here. We will make our presentations available. All of my slides are hyperlinked to whatever the Koha community URL is, or the Koha wiki pages. So if you want to go back and follow the IRC channel or the IRC meeting notes or the Koha community Facebook page, all of those links are in there, so you can get started and start chatting in IRC. Does anyone have questions? Yeah. Yes, you can use the vote or you can attend one of the Koha community meetings. That's a good time because you'll have developers in the meeting, you'll have people from the quality assurance team in there, the release manager will always be in there, and that's a good time to say, hey, this bug's been kind of stale for 2 months. Can we get any activity on this? Another good thing that I see people do is you can send an email out on the partners list or the Koha community listserv and just kind of do an email and say, is anybody else interested in this? But that's a good way. IRC is a good place to start. Attend one of the meetings.
Or you can go to a koha-US meeting. Leave time at the end of the
Yep.
meeting to say what bugs are.
Yep.
And then we add them to that list. And we often will say to each other, you know, nobody said anything about this an hour later.
And George, can people submit bugs here on the koha-US or like submit ones that they want to follow?
No, we haven't
Just-
developed a mechanism for that, but that's a good idea.
Okay. And does everyone know where to find the koha-US meetings? If you come to the website on the first page, there's a calendar, and I think it's on a lot of the footers. But the calendar will always tell you when the meetings are, and those are always available to anyone out in the community.
You don't have to be a member to come to the meeting, but I think what we made it such a big deal.
Yeah, the comments are also fantastic. So if you create an account in the system and then go in there and place a comment, that is very powerful because then the developer looks at that and says, okay, this is affecting somebody's workflow at the library, or this is causing them, 6 different steps, then it should be only 2 steps or 2 clicks to do this. That's a really excellent way. We often tell people like, please go in there and make a comment on this. It will help it move faster. Okay, there's another hot bug that's hot on my topic is the way fines are handled for accruing fines are handled for long lost overdue items, forgiving fines, things like that. And I got into a good conversation with one of our libraries, and I'm like, Chris, please go on to this bug and make a comment because this is what the developers need to see, like that this is drastically changing the way you do things in your library. And he went on there and gave examples and said, this is going to really change the workflow. So that definitely helps. All right, everyone, have a fabulous conference. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to come over and ask us.